in Austin. This isn't my presentation. Dr. Phil Mason put this together. He's in Fort Collins. He's unable to make it, so I'm going to try to go through it. It's not a very dynamic presentation for after lunch, but mainly going to talk about the protocol for interstate movement of citrus nursery stock. First of all, I just want to let you know, as we talk about regulations and government, also APHIS does fund a lot of citrus health programs here in Texas and in the Valley. The last few years, $3 to $4 million in programs, going from outreach to the germplasm safeguarding that Dr. DeGrasse talked about, exclusion programs, pest detection programs like the one that found HLB in the state, and then also the area-wide ACP coordination for the sprays. So we're doing a lot of things, funding a lot of programs here in the state, and also trying to regulate this and keep it from moving around. So we'll start here. Everything here you can access through the APHIS website. The protocol is there, and I just want to mention too, I know, I think Aaron was talking about that 100-foot buffer. The protocol is in a draft stage right now for an update. It should be coming out any day now. They're removing that 100-foot buffer from HLB and ACP. I think if it's canker, it's still going to be there. There's going to be some sort of buffer. So just want to mention that. What I have here is kind of a Reader's Digest version of what's in the protocol. It's not word for word. The protocol is bigger. I have copies of the current one out here. The newer one's going to be coming out. But for us in Texas, the main difference is going to be that 100-foot buffer. Here's what that protocol looks like, and this is actually the I think they changed the year on that, but like I said, most of this is coming straight from this. It's just a little bit easier, less wordy. So mainly what APHIS is going to be doing here and what we are authorized to regulate is interstate movement out of Texas. And in the case of the quarantine here for ACP, the entire state is quarantined, so we do all of the interstate movement work. And within the state, citrus nursery stock isn't regulated for us for ACP, but for HLB, since, like it was said earlier, it's in a quarantine area. When it moves out of there, it is moving into a citrus-producing state. In that case, the TDA is going to be issuing compliance agreements and regulating that movement. But if anyone inside the quarantine area wants to go by the protocol and move stuff out of state, then we would be handling that. So to do this, we have compliance agreements with those entities that are going to be moving the nursery stock. In order for it to move to any state, it needs to move my certificate. And we also have limited permits, which will allow it to move to non-citrus producing states. Two differences there. Really not going to go through all the facility. I think that was covered pretty well earlier. And I know it said we don't really have any hard and fast rules on what a facility looks like. Mainly everything we list is for safeguarding the facility and the nursery stock inside. So however that's done, as long as it meets the minimum requirements for the size of the screen and then the positive pressure, those things. Also talked about earlier the Certified Clean Stock program as to the budwood has to come from that for that movement. Let's see. A lot of this has been said earlier. I'm coming in after everybody's kind of given my presentation, but that's good because this is pretty boring regulatory stuff. It's a really wordy slide, safeguarding sanitation, pretty much all been said. This is all, everything that's been said so far basically comes from that protocol that was developed basically from what Florida did. And then that kind of became the federal protocol there. I've got copies of this presentation out here outside, a few copies of those. General requirements. Labeling, just like Shashank was talking about, they have their labels. Our labeling requirements are mainly what we have is to trace it back to that compliance agreement holder at that nursery. If it's going to be moving under a limited permit, that label will list the states that it cannot move to. Record keeping, talk about the treatments for before shipping. Our officers throughout the state they're going to enforce those compliance agreements with nurseries that are shipping interstate, check those treatment records. And actually over the last, I guess, year, I don't know how long it's been, year or 2 years after the sweet orange scab outbreak, we're out actually in those nurseries more now than we were before, since we're there for every interstate shipment for the fungicide treatment checks and those inspections. So, of course, inspector access. Okay, facility requirements. And kind of here is the next 3 slides break it down for the requirements, three different types of situations. The first one here is interstate movement from the ACP quarantine, so the entire state of Texas, to all U.S. states, and this is going to be outside of the HLB quarantine. And this is what we haven't been doing because the thing that set this aside is this could move to citrus producing states, but most of the time these citrus producing states are not going to allow Texas material to move anyway. So we haven't had anyone do this. We haven't had any screen houses that have been certified, inspected to ship out, but that's what this looks like. And the only difference here than what we're doing now is the screen house, the trapping, what basically we're going to be doing within the HLB quarantine. Like I said, this hasn't been going on. What we have been doing is this one, the restricted movement to non-citrus producing states. And we have a few nurseries within Texas that we're doing this for, and that includes inspections under compliance agreement. The compliance agreement holder, they do inspections of the nursery and report any of those detections to APHIS. But we also go out and do, I think at this time, maybe twice a year inspections. But like I said, for sweet orange scab, if they're shipping, we're out there more often than that. We have the 30 to 90 day treatment and then the foliar spray. Also the tag that has to be on there for not for distribution in those citrus producing areas. This one we haven't done yet. Any interstate movement from within the HLB quarantine, and this is what we've all been talking about now, is the folks that want to ship within this quarantine out of the state of Texas. USDA APHIS would be going in and inspecting this for all the different things, for tears in the screen house and making sure the treatments are being done and so forth. It's the same thing that's going to be done for shipping inside the state of Texas outside the quarantine, but in that case, TDA is going to take the lead on that as it's an intrastate movement situation. And you know, the slide's wordy, but basically it's what's been said so far. It's what they're doing in Florida currently. It mirrors that. I think that pretty much covers it. Like I said, everybody did the job here. Yes, sir.
You just said it, but it certainly works some emphasis. So right now, we've got a 5-mile radius for quarantine. So your requirement that you're talking about here for shipment, let's focus on intrastate, because there's a lot of citrus nursery trees that are sold from here up to the Houston area. And I think it's worth some emphasis and questions, if there are any, for you or George or Shashank. But if I'm understanding you right, that let's say this quarantine expands, it's not likely to stay just 5-mile radius forever. And in one of these nurseries, there's several of them out here that are selling up to the Houston market, they find themselves in that quarantine, and what do they have to do?
Well, in that case, it's going to be just like they're shipping out of state. It's going to have to be it's going to have to meet the requirements for shipping, just as if shipping out of the state of Florida into any other state, since it's moving into the other parts of
I guess
Texas.
this is a comment for whatever it's worth. So our friends at Texas Nursery Landscape Association are talking to Commissioner Backdiller and saying, well, you know, we don't have to want to do all of these things. Now, it doesn't matter whether TDA does anything at all. There are requirements that are on the books right now that say that if you fall into that quarantine, you're going to do this, whether Todd Staples thinks it's good or not. You think they understand that?
Sure they will.
But do they understand it?
That doesn't mean they'll like it, but they'll understand it.
Yeah, because the USDA typically, we don't quarantine anything less than a state unless the state can show that they can control that movement in a smaller area. So a county, a 5-mile area, typically it's been a county, we're smaller here, but the state has to show that they can control that, or else they put the rest of the risk at state, and then they put the rest of the country at state. Right? So that's basically, and TDA's working with us. We have bi-weekly calls and talking about this and a lot more than that too. But, just show Mike. Sure.
They say that you have to move plants outside of quarantine. You have to follow the same protocol. So they have to go.
Yes.
Justin, what is your interpretation of the time frame that will take the nursery from the time they enter into a quarantine zone and sign a compliance agreement with people to ship outside of the quarantine zone?
For an HOV quarantine?
Not gonna work for it. Yes.
Yeah, I can't, I know they have to undergo testing, so I can't remember what that is.
Bottom line on the first slide says 2 samples for HLV 6 months apart, is that correct?
2 samples.
1 year.
That's the same.
Yeah, 1 year.
They got that money for 1 year before you did the first one.
Right.
Assuming that you pass your sample.
Yeah.
Positive, then all bets are off.
So until you test positive, you will then go 1 year.
That's right. So if the county went under quarantine tomorrow, everybody within the county, you're a year from shipping outside the county.
Well, actually, you're a year after you put the plant in.
Well, right. Yeah, right.
But not in the closure, you can't get outside. That's what it is. That's what was agreed upon between the nursery industry and Florida, the representatives there, the nursery industry in California, and the nursery industry in Texas. The other option is to quarantine the whole state, nobody has to be close to the site to Texas. That's the decision that the industry, Texas Department of Agriculture, UPM, have to decide whether we're going to try to close for the vacancy or whether we're not. That's it, we'll work out. On control, what they're going to have to control. They can work on the business. When you put your hands up, what you call say, whatever you want.
Yeah, right now, most of the shipments we have going out of the state aren't in the citrus zone down here. They're outside East Texas and North Texas, but I know we do have some from the nursery that's shipping out. Yes, sir.
Let me ask a question, it may not be to you. Does really cold weather affect, food?
We had, not last year, but the year before, I think we got down below 28 degrees, next Thursday for about 7 or 8 hours. We went hard, especially throughout the next day, the Thursday, and Thursday, we got lots of it.
Well, like we have 83 degrees.
Yeah, 83 degrees, basically, it's still close back.
But your nursery's still gonna be low.
Nursery has a cover, nursery has a cover, climate control, but it's not expected, we're still in the nursery on the side.
Okay, but we didn't get on the street.
Still if you're adaptable. Historically cold, you know, it might moderate for a while, but they'll be back. But,
Yeah, I also put some checklists out here on the table that you guys leave, along with the presentation and the protocol. That checklist is what Florida uses. It does have that buffer area on there, but it kind of gives you an idea of what is looked at when the state and the federal goes to inspect the facility.
When a compliance agreement has been signed, how long is that? Is it for a certain amount of time, or is it?
You know, with those, there is no expiration date on the agreement. Typically, if something changes, we'll reissue it, but maybe every couple of years, if there's a management change or something like that, it's, but typically it's, you know, we keep those in place. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thanks a lot. First of all, I want to say thanks for everybody and their